Make sure it looks like we're up and running. Hello everyone, my name is Kevin Cheney and this is my blacksmith shop, Red Maple Forge, and today is Wednesday and I'm doing some restocking. Me little shawl pins or cloak pins, I'm running a wee bit low on them, so I'm going to be doing a production run of those guys. I know I've done them in previous streams, but you know, just for any newcomers, let's get into them. So the steel I'm going to be working with, I'm going to be using 1/4 inch round. This is cold rolled, but you know, if you can get hot roll, why not? This just happens to be what my supplier had at the time. So 1/4 inch, and they're 7 inches long for those guys. And then for the pins themselves, so those guys take the main body. And for the pins themselves, we're talking about 3/16 round. This I can only get in cold rolled. And they're a little bit longer than 3 inches. I think they're 3 1/4 inches. Actually, my tape measure's right here. Why don't I just look? Yeah, 3 1/2 inches. I recently changed the size of these guys. Originally, I was using 1/4 inch as well for the pin, but I decided to move down to 3/16. It just happens to be a better fit for how I make them. So I got a bunch of pieces cut out. Like most of my production runs, I cut the pieces beforehand, before forging. It's just what works best for me. And as for tongs today, I will be using my 3/8 V-bit tongs. And these guys are made from SMF Canada, which are available at Princess Auto. And quite frankly, I've had them for a little bit over a year now, maybe 2 years now. It's hard to remember all this stuff. They've been pretty good. I've had to reshape. They did spread out a little bit based on how I use them. Very common in tongs. So I did have to shape them again a little bit, but not too much. Just bring them in a little bit. And even at full price, these are a pretty good deal, but when you can get them on sale, it's even better. So I'm going to be using my 2-pound hammer today. Not a lot of forging, it's only 1/4 inch. So it is not too bad. And I'm going to double check my anvil camera right now just to get it a little bit better. Did move it around. Oh, apparently once in a while the settings for this camera gets a little wonky and I just have to go in and update some stuff, so bear with me for a second. I'm sorry if it gets a little crazy with brightness and contrast and all that. For whatever reason, this camera loses its presets, I guess you call it. That doesn't look terrible compared. And on my tripod, I put a bucket of steel underneath on a little hook that's at the bottom of the tripod to hopefully knock down some of the vibrations from forging. So I have 4 in the forge right now, and I'm running just under 5 psi for this particular forge. I should have actually blocked off the other side. And it's a pretty simple process that I go through. I just taper both sides to a round taper. So I start off with square, knock down the corners so I get an octagon. My anvil is a little bit cold right now, so I'm going to try and get this in one heat. We'll see how it goes. I'm actually going to make that curl a little bit more. And the reason why I'm doing a little bit bigger curl is when I do the pin, I don't want the pin to be able to slide out of this. So, just a simple curl. We're going to take that and flip it around. And before I pick up the next one, I am actually going to throw the extra fire brick into the forge. I keep a second fire brick to kind of lock up my second opening on the forge. This just helps keep as much heat in the forge as possible. Oh, this is my pickup tongs I made. I think it was the first week I actually started streaming, or second. So if you haven't seen that video, after you watch this one, you can pop over there and see me make these tongs. Now, with my tongs, I do use the press for the reins of them, or the handles of them. I do that solely because of trying to keep a nice flow while streaming and not taking up too much time on the reins. But it can definitely be done by hand. So again, we're just going to do square taper first, then go down, knock down the corners. So we got an octagon, then I do a little bit of plenishing, then I'm going to go over and curl that tip. This one's got a little cold on me, so we'll see how it goes. It's not terrible, not terrible. Oh, and we're going to flip that around. Like all my production runs, I will repeat the same steps with 4 or 5 irons in the fire. I find that's usually a good number when I'm doing smaller stuff like this, that I can just keep going with no like real waiting for the next piece to heat up. Now obviously that is just my personal preference when I'm doing production runs. And of course, because I've had so much practice on these guys, I've done well over 100 now, I would imagine. So it's not too much thinking I have to do with these guys. Actually, the hardest thing for me is to remember to flip them over. So now we're going back to the first one. I might actually put the forge up and heat a little bit. It is a little bit colder today in the shop. We're around the freezing mark, which is weird for middle of April. It's about to say October. Hold on. Now, because I'm doing the opposite side of what I first did, I want to make sure that my curls are on the same side of the steel. So we are doing like that. Just want to make sure. Now, with this being round, it's not that critical. You could, if you do mess up one or so, because it's round, you can actually just twist it so it's aligned all right. So as for how fast I can actually do one of these, I actually don't know. Definitely doing 4 at a time, the average time, is a lot better than if I was doing 1 at a time. That's why I do a lot of things in production. So I'm just making sure both curls are at the same side of my bar. And also trying to get the second curl around the same size as the first one. And then this guy's going to go fully into the forge again, so we can move to the jig. And yes, I do have a jig for this. It's actually kind of rude and crude. I'll show you in a little bit. Almost all my regular products, if I can make a jig to make it go faster, I will. And sometimes it's not to be faster, it's to be actually more consistent. Because I sell these guys both online and in person, the online ones I definitely want to get them to be as consistent as possible. With sales in person, you can get a little away with being a little bit imperfect on 1 or 2 of them, because the person can actually see it before they pick it out. But with online sales, I like to be consistent. It saves a lot of hassle of expectations from people. So that's number 4. As for the jig, so my jig is actually pretty simple. I'm actually going to move this camera over there. Oh, it would be so nice to have a third camera that I can just switch to for this. So my jig is quite simple. So here is, I'll actually take it out of the device. So here is actually a spindle from a trailer. And a spindle is basically the hub that the tire goes onto, right? Or it is, the spindle is what the hub, and the hub is what the tire goes onto. Anyways, this is a crucial part of a trailer to allow it to actually spin the wheels. And I have this one, and it's stepped down. So there's different steps on it and different diameters around. I use this because it is round. And then the second piece is actually a hook jig I made up. And I'm actually only concerned about this one piece here. I think it's 5/16. Doesn't matter the size. Basically, when I make these, I'll hook one of those curls I just made in on here and then wrap it around. But before I actually will even put a curl into the jig, I'm going to actually quench the curl that I'm going to put up in that one section. This will allow me to put a little bit more force onto that curl without it deforming too much. And I actually need to move this jig. So this guy's going back in the forge for a second. I decided to do a recent change of making them a little bit smaller. So I'm actually using the top piece on this now. And I kind of forgot about that. So again, I quenched that tip, and I'm just gonna work this around. Did I? Yeah. Just work that around. I'm trying to get both sides as tightly as possible against this jig. It's one of those things where the first one always goes a little bit awry on me. Just basic remembering the motion of doing these. I'll get that heated up again. And while I'm waiting for that to heat up, I'll grab another one so I can actually form it. And this, tucking both sides in as much as possible on this jig. Occasionally I'll have to grab my hammer, bring it in. And depending on how well I forge these and do the curl, sometimes I have to go over to the anvil and close it up just ever so slightly. So you get that kind of shape. One of the curls did go a little bit askew. So I'm gonna take a second and fix that. And how I'm gonna fix that is with my really little scroll and tongs. These are actually marketed for bead jewelry makers. They're rounding nose pliers. And I'm just going to take a second, pull that open, and then curl that back down so I can make them both consistent again. And sometimes this will take me 1 or 2 heats to do. But I'm just trying to make them look roughly the same. And if I need to, I'll tweak the other side. And so there is the body of it. So I'm just taking a second to look at it to see if I do need to do any other tweaks to this. I like to keep them as round as possible. So sometimes that does mean going over to the horn, opening it up one side a little bit, and then bringing it back down. The jig does help a little bit with this, but sometimes it just needs a little tweak, just a little bit of improvement. And sometimes if they're way off, I'll actually open them up again and put them through the jig again. That does occasionally happen, not as often as they used to, but And sometimes I have to go in here with a hammer just to get it a little bit tighter around this jig. And then do the final adjustments at the anvil. Whoop. There we go. That's number 2. So we still got a couple to fix up a little bit. So this one's really close. I'm probably gonna try it with doing it cold, actually. Because this is 1/4 inch, you can get away with some reshaping while it's cold. Okay, that one's good. So let's get the 4th one finished up. Yeah, that's number 4 done. So we'll reload and get back into doing a couple more. Doing 4 this round and see where we are time-wise. Do a little bit different angle on the camera for the anvil. We'll see how that looks. So we get enough 4 popped into the forge. And let's see how chat's doing. Well, there's nothing in it, so oh well. I realize that this time slot is not the best for, say, North America. It just happens to be the slot where it works the most convenient. Not convenient. I don't want to say convenient. I want to say best for my time and my schedule. Seeing I do blacksmithing as full time, it is a struggle to juggle. So we'll get those guys heated up, and I gotta just tweak my jig a little bit to the right spot. I'm still trying to find that magic number of length of round to use with this jig. Actually, I might change up. I might change up my jig. So right at this point in time, my jig, I have changed the size I used a couple times now for these guys. When I was doing them freehand, I used a little bit longer. Actually, I used shorter when I was doing them freehand. And then I actually moved to a little bit larger to use on that jig that I just had. And now I'm going to change it over to a different a different pipe. It has a little bit more of an outer diameter. And we'll try the next batch with that and see. So those guys are more than hot enough to go. I'm actually going to tweak down the heat on my forge a little bit. I don't need that much heat in there. The difference between having the brick blocking the other EZIC hole makes a huge difference. So again, we're just going to do a square taper. Round it all up. Do the curl. Done. That's that side. That's that side done. Let's see. Oh, other way. Yeah, let's try that. Try that. So late last week, I actually changed how my network is going. So, because I was having troubles with drops, and so far since I've changed, it seems to be doing okay. YouTube is telling me excellent. My OBS software, OBS Studios, is saying no dropped frames, so that's always a good sign. It really came down last week where at the beginning of the week I was dropping 20 to 40% of my frames by the end of the stream, so seeing zero dropped is nice. Actually, with the change, it has allowed me to change my CNC machine, the CNC plasma cutter, to actually be on the Wi-Fi as well. Before, so my CNC has Wi-Fi capabilities on it, the controller. So what I was doing before was I had to drop my normal Wi-Fi connection to hook up to just that, which obviously for a stream does not work. But now I have it so I can actually control it. It's on the same network that my internet is on. So now I can just point to it in the software, and I don't have to drop internet connection to be able to do my CNC work, which is hopefully a bonus. I don't know how much it's gonna. I want to do a stream where I'm playing with the plasma cutter, so we'll see. We'll see how that affects the stream when I do that. Yeah. So we're on to the next side now. And again, I got 4 in the forge. So it's just a square taper. Round it off. Take it down the corners to octagon. Then do plenishing a little bit. Clean up that taper. Check where my curl is on the other side and start doing the curl on this side. And that is that one ready to be bent on the jig. So I'm going to put it all the way in the forge, get a nice heat all the way down that. I have one piece that's, for whatever reason, doesn't want to get picked out of the forge. check where my curl is on the other side and start curling this one over. Making sure they're roughly about the same size on both sides. I tell you, with the weather being how it is, where it's going up and down in temperature and also humidity, it's having a little play on my hammers, as in some are loosening up on me. This one feels like it is, but checked it earlier this morning and it wasn't really that loose, but that's one of the downsides. My shop is not climate control very well, so the hammers do come loose sometimes. That's why some hammers you'll see only the wood wedge in, and other hammers I will have a steel wedge as well as the wood wedge. I normally do just a wood wedge first, and if it loosens up, then I throw the steel one in, just to give a little bit more length out of that handle. I know some guys that go straight for 2. That's not my preference, per se, because if it does loosen up with 2, it's really hard to tighten it up again when it does loosen up, if it does loosen up. So we'll move you over to the vise again. Oh, sorry, I got my weight on here. Ooh. It's not much, it's only about 10 pounds, but I think it does make a difference with the hammering. So I've changed up my jig. I'm not using that spindle anymore. I'm gonna try this tube one, and for size-wise, the outer diameter is this shy of 2 inches. It's probably a 50 millimeter pipe originally, outer diameter that is. But the principle is going to be the same as when I was using the spindle. We're going to quench the tip, lock it in my stop, and just go around, and we'll see where this ends up. The one nice thing about the spindle, because it did have the steps, kind of kept the piece off of falling all the way down when you're readjusting your tongs. So I'm just going to bring my hammer in here and just do a little bit of tapping to get this a little bit closer to the pipe I'm using, or the jig. Unfortunately, the tongs suck some of the heat out, so it takes a little bit more force to get it nice and tight. And you know what? I think that is so much better than using that spindle. We'll see how it does with the other ones. Still a little bit of tweaking I have to do, but it's very minimal. I probably could have got away without doing any work at the anvil. We'll get the next one out and try that out to see how it is. There you go. I think it's just a, yeah, and then here it's just a little straightening. The curls got, like the very ends got a little bit out of whack. That does happen, so it's just a little bit of straightening. And those guys, that guy looks good. This time I'll bring my hammer over there right away. This one just needed a little bit more convincing than the last two. But we got there. This guy did get a little bit less round than the other two. It still looks pretty good. I'm actually going to fix the one side. It has wet in a little too much. And of course I forgot my hammer back over there again. It's one of the, because I hold one side with the tongs, it tends to want to not, it cools down too fast, right? So it is a little bit of a struggle to get it bent to where I want it before it does that. But they're doing pretty good on this this pipe. So this guy, this side here, just got a little bit more not right. So I just want to shrink that down a little bit. Just to, yeah, that looks better. So we'll go over to the anvil, straighten that up. Make sure it's nice and flat. Now that I got eight done, I'm going to move over to doing the pins now for them. So we'll just set the camera up on the anvil again. Whoop, whoop. Now, this I have to bring in different tongs. These are my flat fit tongs. And because I have 8 all ready to go, I'm going to do 8 pins all at once. if I can pick up all 8. We're going to do all of these at the same time. Now, if this was a true production run, where it's like I'm working a day on these guys, I will actually go through the whole morning making just the bodies, or the round piece of these guys. And in the afternoon, I will actually go and do all the pin work. So we'll get those heated up. The jig comes out. We will need the vise. We will need the vise. And I will pick up all my thingamajiggies. All my bodies. I am quenching them right now, solely because it's easier to work when I can actually pick them up with my hands than trying to fight with tongs. This is why I'll do the bodies all in the morning and then do the pins in the afternoon. That way the bodies will actually be cold by the time I'm ready to work with them. So I'm just stacking them over there, close to the vise. And I'll actually get one set up right now in the vise, just because I know I will forget it. So those pins are ready to go, but I need more coffee. Yeah. It's getting a little warm in the shop. Woo! Where are we? Practically bombing at 15 degrees. That's Celsius, by the way. If you haven't figured out, I'm Canadian. So we do temperatures for outside in Celsius, but inside we decide if we want to do Fahrenheit or Celsius. It's so messed up. Just move to the metric system already. Come on. Actually, funny enough, like my CNC is set up for metric. Well, I should say I use it in metric most of the time. Software allows me to convert it real easy, so it's not a big deal, but come on. So here we're just doing a long taper. Now, because this is 3/16, I'm not really trying to destroy it by hitting it too hard. You'll probably notice that me taking a little bit longer time on this guy, just to plenish it nice up. Probably at a point. I'm just double checking the size, because like I say, I've changed some stuff over. So I'm just checking the size to make sure that it's going to be good for the pin. Had these sitting a little bit too long. They're getting a little caught up on my refractory. My refractory is deteriorating a little bit after 13 years of it. So if I leave something in there a little too long, it kind of gets stuck. And here I'm not really trying to draw these out all too much. I'm just trying to do a nice slender taper so it's kind of more pin-like. I'm also trying to keep the pin as straight as possible at this point in time. I've had actually one customer say that one of my pins were a little bit crooked, which I'm like, what? No. So taking a little bit more extra time on this batch, and just to make sure I'm keeping that pin straight. It was probably one of the ones where it's like, oh, I know it's off. I'll fix that before, I'll fix it cold before I ship it out. And then for whatever reason, it got shipped out before I fixed it. That's no excuse though. No excuse. Because I want quality stuff. And you guys pay for quality stuff, so I gotta provide it. These pins are actually a little bit of a pain to do because I can't bring it right to the edge of the anvil to do the taper. So I'm always trying not to angle my hammer all too much to cause mishits on my anvil. Definitely if I was able to pull these a little bit closer to the edge of the anvil, I would be happier, but we do what we can do. I could make an anvil, smaller anvil that go into my hardy hole. I do have one, but that's more for having clean edges than actually having a smaller surface to hammer on. So anyways, coming up here, I gotta forge out what's gonna wrap around the body. And because I do these enough, I actually tend to, I already have a mark on my anvil. And I actually come over here. You're not going to see any of this because I didn't switch you over. I will switch you over on the next one, don't worry. But I basically just bent that around. I'm doing a shaky test to make sure it's loose enough. Yeah, there we go. That's one, done. These guys get a nice wire wheel and all that, so I won't go over that process all too much, just because my wire wheels are upstairs in my grinding room, and I don't have a camera up there yet. So I'm gonna set up the next one, and I'm leaving a gap between my vise and my, let me see if I can actually get you over there to see it. Between my vise and the body of the pin. That way, when I make these, I can actually slide that pin over underneath and curl it around. It'll make more sense when I show you. So here I'm just flattening that section that will wrap around the body. Coming in here on the vise a little bit, start that curl, tuck it underneath, and then we're going to just curl that around. Not doing heavy blows on here, we're doing just glancing blows. We want to bring that down so they're touching. And we don't want to make this too tight, because if we get it too tight, it's not going to move on the body right. And I usually do a little shaky test just to see how it is. It should be nice and loose like this, or it is a complete pain to use it. So we're going to set up the next one, and we're just going to repeat that for the other whatever so many I have. 6, 7. Now, of course, if this takes you a couple of heats to do all the steps, that's fine. This takes, like I said, I've done well over 100 of these now, so I really don't, it doesn't take long for me to just get these done when I'm not talking and stuff. My hardest thing is actually remembering to put one of these guys back in when I'm ready to do the next pin. And grab my hammer. I know that camera angle is probably not the best. I will change it up on the next one because I think it's not really, because I'm right-handed, I'm getting in the way. So let's flip you on the other side and make sure you can see what I'm doing. So this guy is a little bit too big. So I'm just actually going to force him down a little bit. There we go. going to actually put you on the other side of the vise so maybe you can see it a little better, what I'm doing. This pole is like it's my arch nemesis with video, and yeah, I think that you'll be able to see it from there. Again, we're going to take it to the vise. Start the curl over. As we're hitting this, we're actually going to be rotating the pin. Just makes it easier to get a nice round loop around it. And we do a shaky test, and yeah, that's good. Looks like 3 more to go. And then we'll check our time and see what else we can, if we have time for another batch or not. Whoop! Whoop. So this one, it got a little bit askewed, as in the back end. So I just tapped it over a little bit. And yeah, that looks good. We'll get that last one going. There we go. Now this one, the pin is a little bit askewed right now. So I'm going to take just a few seconds on the anvil Well, I still have a wee bit of heat left in this, just to straighten that up. Again, this is something that can be done cold. This 3/16 isn't really that big. But yeah, there you go. There is my cloak pin slash shawl pin. That's 8 of them done. 1 hour, not too bad. So, how do I finish these guys? Like much of my work, I will. Sorry, I wanted that to be a little bit quieter. So, like a lot of my work, what I will do is I will wire wheel these guys. Bring it down to a buff steel. I personally, for the most part, I don't like leaving scale on. That's probably really annoying to forge being like that. Let's shut it off. I can always turn it on afterwards. So how I do it is wire wheel it to the to the bare steel. That is my preference. Like I said, I don't really like scale on my pieces. It's a personal preference, obviously. But for the most part, I like them buffed and shiny and show the beauty of that steel. With age, it dulls a little bit and it gets that nice patina on it. That's what I kind of like. So I will wire wheel these guys. They will then get a beeswax finish. So my beeswax is just beeswax. I don't add linseed oil or anything like that in it. It's just pure beeswax. I have it in a little crock pot, a little tiny little crock pot. It just gets turned on in the morning, and I just let it go, and it nicely melts it and all that. Now, once I get all the pins all clean up, what I'll do is I'll put them in the oven at almost the lowest temperature that the oven can do. Basically, just hot enough that when you dip it into the beeswax, it doesn't automatically just get solid. So basically, it still is able to melt the beeswax. I'll do that, dip them into the beeswax, take them out, let them drip a little bit, or shake them a little bit to get some of the excess beeswax. Throw it back in the oven. It's on a baking tray, so I don't make a mess of the oven. Heat them back up, and then I'll actually wipe off any excess beeswax off of it, and then they're done. I've been doing that finish for quite some years now, about 10 years or so now, and I have stuff that I did 10 years ago that, like in my house, that is still perfectly fine. I've never recoated them, no rust on them or anything like that, so it's actually a really good finish for me. With the cloak pins, they also have an extra advantage because you're going to be using your hands to put them on. Oh, I'm sorry, I hit the mic. You're going to use your hands to put them on. So the oils from your hands will also protect it a little bit. So yeah, those are my cloak pins. That's a small batch. That's a really small batch. Normally I will go through somewhere around 25, 30 of them in a day. That's going straight from the beginning all the way to having a finished product, beeswaxed, all done. I think that's the biggest one I've done so far in one day. I probably could do more, but don't really need to, I guess. So these guys I do sell online, and I also sell in person. I do a lot of medieval fairs and witch-themed shows as well. And they do actually quite well. I'm quite pleased of making them and stuff like that. So yeah, these I'm stocking up right now because my first medieval fair show is in I don't know, I want to say 3-4 weeks. So I'm trying to do a little bit of stocking up as I go and all that, and then I sell it online and I have to restock again. It's a terrible problem to have. But yeah, so that's how I do my a small batch of shell pins, or cloak pins, whatever you would like to call them. So that is pretty well where I'm going to leave it today. Yeah, if you like it, hit the like button. If you like it, subscribe. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe so you can get the notifications and all that. I do these shows, or streams, I should say, shows. It's a big, huge production here. Yeah, I do these live streams every weekday, 1:30, and yeah, come along, put me in the background, listen to me ramble on in my shop. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday. What is Thursday? I don't know yet, but it will be great. I guarantee you. Or it won't be. I don't know. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.